wife a text, happy birthday, and it's technically in violation of the restraining order, and we have to go out, we shall arrest them if we do. That in and of itself, believe it or not, from our ATF guide, is not a violation. So I'm just sending letters to people saying, dude, you have a misdemeanor domestic violence conviction, and my mind shut down. As soon as I saw that, I said, dude, you're never going to get this gun back. Well, it turns out it's not quite, it wasn't quite right. So, I go over this here because it is relevant to the issues with that relate to the change in the statute. So this is the statute that changed now. So we've got a change that is here in chapter 1511B1. So one of the things that is different about it is that it used to be that they're talking about if a firearm that had been turned over to be destroyed by the sheriff of the county in which the firearm was seized or a duly authorized agent, which we don't want all our local agencies like our whoever bring us their gun. Y'all are designee to destroy those things. But it turns out that we're now severely limited in what we can do. So if the gun does not have a legible, unique identification number, or is unsafe for use because of wear, damage, age, or modification, if those things are not in place with that firearm, it is illegal for us to destroy it. However, that goes for court orders that are signed on or after September 1 of this year, and for any firearms that are seized after that date. So my court orders that I've been sitting on for a while that were done before that date, yeah, we can still destroy them. So now there's some practical. It's a practical matter. I'll be darned if I'm going to go through all that huge mound of guns that I've got, all 1,000 of them, and say, okay, well, this one here, yeah, we can sell this. We can sell this. Now, this one here is really bad. I don't want to do that. I can't. I'm not staffed to do it. So what we did is, let's see. We're back up a minute. We've also got another issue here in 1511. That where they talk about unclaimed firearms that are found or received by a law enforcement agency that remains unclaimed by the person who may be entitled to it for a period of 30 days after publication of notice. And these things here, we have to hold them for like 180 days. And suppose now, they have a little blurb in here. I hate seeing this whenever they say the agency shall do something. And things with like bikes, a law enforcement agency may publish a little thing in the newspaper. I like it when they say may because, well, that's more like a suggestion. Okay, but shall is a little stickier. So I've been over this with my department's legal advisor. Like, Mr. Maxwell, someone found a sawed-off shotgun. Clearly, it's a legal weapon. And this is how our department got a hold of it. Nobody got charged. Do I have to really do a newspaper publishment about this? And he felt no, because nobody's entitled to it. Okay. So I have yet to do one of these yet. I'm making a short list of guns that I think might have to fit this criteria, and I'm going to try. I'm going to try and find the cheapest. All I have to do is find a newspaper that publishes in Wake County. It could be like a little ad service. Whoever does it for cheapest, that's who's going to get the bid. So I'm going to follow the letter of the statute, the letter, and no more, no less. Okay. It used to be that the person who found the firearm and turned it over used to be able to get the thing. Well, that's apparently they scratched that out. So And here we go about that the firearm remains unclaimed for 30 days. Now this is a little weird. It says the chief, or the head or chief of the law enforcement agency, and then it skips to shall order the disposition of the firearm in one of the following ways: by having the firearm destroyed because of the serial number issue, or the wear, damage, age, or modification type of issue. And then, of course, we'll maintain a record of destruction of firearms. So that looks to me like, I don't like doing anything with a firearm under this, without court order. So there's nothing says I can't go to a judge and say, please, just, I want you to review this. And the judge in Wake County, I know that they'll sign. I thought we technically could do our own, but now it comes down. Now, obviously, what they really want us to do is to do sale, trade, or exchange by the agency to a federally licensed firearm dealer in accordance with all applicable state and federal firearm laws, or by sale of firearm in a public auction that people license as such. And we can only do these guns here if they have serial numbers. They say sale, trade, or exchange. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be done by auction, which is what I originally thought that it used to mean. Maintain the firearm for training or experimental purposes, or transfer to a museum. I'm darned if I'm going to be turning one of these things over to a museum. I mean, really, how many of these guns are actually historic? And then disbursement of proceeds of the sale. If you sell it, the proceeds of the sale shall be retained by the law enforcement agency used for our purposes. And we shall maintain a record of inventory as well as the disposition of the firearm, including any funds that we receive. So under the old way the statute was done, if we did the sale basically for cash to a gun dealer, the money was supposed to go to the school system. Well, looks like we get to actually keep it, and we can trade it in and get better guns for us, whatever kind of equipment. So it looks like the General Assembly decided that they wanted to have us, well, they really want to get more of these guns back out in commerce, which brings me to things like suicide guns, homicide guns that are eligible for disposal. I'll be darned if I want a suicide gun out there. So, the odds are good. If the gun is used in suicide, it's probably got some spatter or ickiness in it. That's damage to me. Homicide gun with a nice gun that caps someone from a distance and there's no ickiness on it. Well, you know what? The way I would do that, I would simply have on my court order, I'd mention everything else that's eligible for disposal. I'm leaving the gun off. We're not going to dispose of it. I'm going to slap a little thing in OSSI that says hold indefinite. We don't have that many homicide guns compared to 50D guns. I don't mind holding on to a homicide gun.
You can always run into the fuming chamber to search for additional friends.
Well, there is that. I like that idea. Let's see. I'm going to show a couple of examples here of some other documents that we use. Okay, this is an example of a letter that if you look at at these gun statutes, I mean, we do have to give these people notification that even if they're not authorized to be able to possess firearms, we still have to let them know. So my favorite thing is I like to have a letter. So I'll send them an original. I'll keep an original copy and stamped copy, keep that with my letter file, and then I'll give them 30 days. So this is an example of one. We're doing a notification of intent to destroy. And I'm making a blurb. I describe the guns. I made a note that since 2005, when we got your guns in a 50B type of situation, since that time you were convicted of assaulting a female. Dude, you can't ever have guns back. You certainly ain't getting these back. And if you'd like to contest this, give me a call, and we'll figure something. You know, take it to the domestic violence court, have them set a court date, and well, we're going to get an order that lets us dispose of the guns. Now, for the 50B guns, they are going to have to dispose of them in a way that matches the 1511 or the 14269 way of destroying, which basically is the same criteria. Here's an example of a court order that I wrote up. This is a gentleman that got charged with assault on a female and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. I knew that by the time this was coming, this was going to be an after September 1 type of order. So what I did is, I've got 4 items. I've got described here, just like the ladies with the Innocence Commission recommended. There ain't no blanket order. So we talked about certain items to be items 1 and 4 to be destroyed, the GSR kit and shell casing, all right, and then to be disposed of according to law. And so now I'm talking about item number 2, which is the I-point POS 9mm pistol. And basically what I've gotten here, I've got instead of me actually inspecting the gun at this time, I've got this done in such a way that if the gun is of saleable condition, as according to the statute, we'll sell it, as according to the way the statute wants to do it. However, if we find upon inspection by the evidence custodian and the sheriff's firearms review designee officer it's found to be unsuitable for such sale, trade, or exchange due to wear, damage, age, or modification, then we can chop it up. So what this does is, if we find that the gun is indeed, no good for selling, we have the out. We can go ahead and construct. We don't have to come back to the judge and say, Judge, upon review of the gun, we found out that actually it's a piece of crap and it's really, we can't sell it. So this way the judge sees, okay, we got it coming and going, and we have a method for reviewing the gun and deciding what to do with it. We also do something here at the bottom. Whenever we have live ammunition, so live ammo and weapon magazine in item 3 to be disposed of by our firearms training during firearms training and or testing. So what that is, basically the ammunition is coming to us for official use. That way I don't have to wait until destruction day. I can simply say, well, look, it is ordered for official use. Have that change done in OSSI. I take the ammo, take the weapon mag, toss it to the firearms training box, and then they come and they get that every few weeks or so. Any questions so far? I know I talked very quickly. And I got here to show. Okay, this is a form that I developed for each firearm that's in the case, and we're getting ready to decide, okay, does it fit the criteria for destroying it? So depending on which statute, it's under 1511, 14269.1-4, or under the 50B statute, and that's depending on how we're destroying it or dealing with it, I look it over, and I've got the firearms training lieutenants looking at it with me, and we decide that, okay, you know what? I didn't notice this at first, but it looks like there's actually a centimeter crack in the frame of this handgun, which I didn't see what he did. And then when I realized, oh my God, I mean, that probably would blow up your hand. And then you can make, there's room on here to make a notification, a notice, or a note of why the weapon cannot be sold. You check the box, make the note on here, and you have the gun described that way. That goes with the destruction order. And so that way, we're not just, we have something that shows that we're not just, making something up, and we're still in compliance with the statute. Okay, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Are these sample letters available online? On your website?
Dude, I just threw these together.
Yes.
Are they available online? No, but if you will give me your business card with your email address and which things you want me to email you, I'll be glad to send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I
Yes.
got one comment on something.
Please.
This is something that I just ran across when I was trying to figure this out myself. And I think people kind of decided both ways on section 3 of that session law.
Mhm.
In section 3, they changed paragraph 4 of 14.269.
69?
Yeah, go back to that. Yeah, section 3, they changed that number, that paragraph 4
Yes.
to not include, you can destroy firearms that does not have a unique identification number, whatever. But if you go to 14.269.1, other choices within that statute, there's not one for destruction,
Right.
and the only way it can be sold is at the written request of the agency head.
Right.
They didn't change that part.
One thing that I do, I didn't do it on this, I don't think I did it on that order, but I've done it on some of my most recent orders. I put a blurb, my sheriff has given a standing order to us that the weapon will be, he wants saleable guns to be sold.
Right.
So what I do is I include a little petition note on a special section of on the bottom of the order, should say that just describe that the sheriff has a standing order, and the sheriff and the judges are signing it.
Yeah, I understand that, but our sheriff is the exact opposite. He don't want to sell any. So,
Well,
if we don't, in other words, if our sheriff don't ask that they be sold, then the judge can't tell us to sell them by statute, and he can't tell us to destroy them.
So you can be sitting on them.
Judge doesn't have any say-so in it at all now. The judge won't sign a disposition that has anything to do with a destruction order with a gun.
Right. Well,
And the bottom of that statute, I don't know if that's the most up-to-date one, because there is one that says that a judge could not sign for any gun that's to be destroyed before September, even if you obtain the gun before September 1st, a judge cannot sign it after September 1st, 2003, even if you received the gun in 2012, 2011, that they can't sign an order to destroy that gun now.
Yeah, that's what
It's
the
section
section 4 is.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's as low as I can, it's as high as I can get it. And that's,
It's up there. No, I think so.
about a week ago, I had an email from a district attorney who wanted some more information about a particular gun that the woman had been charged with communication threats and something else. So I actually, for that one, I went ahead and pulled the gun and I inspected it and decided on my own that the gun looked like it was saleable. So I sent him, a little blurb on there that, let's go ahead and sell it. I mean, what my sheriff wants, and so I did not see a statutory basis for destroying that particular gun. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got a question, because in Rocky Mountain, we've always destroyed guns, and we never all the time sell or anything like that. How do people sell them? Do you shop around? Do you
We haven't gotten there yet.
has anybody, I guess?
Yes, our agency head is not for putting them on gov deals or selling them in the auction or anything like that. And so what we do is we trade them in when we purchase new duty weapons, new SWAT tactical weapons. The same people that sell us those weapons are willing to take the destruction, what used to be the destruction weapons, in as a trade.
Even high points and lower and
Yes, we go through Glock, or Glock and Beretta.
interesting.
Yeah, we
And
talked
they
to,
take our old ones and as trade.
I talked to someone at Wildman's the other day, because I was trying to get a contract before I got here so I could give it out while we were here, that they said that they would take our guns, like all of our guns, and if we made an agreement with them that they would sell them or trade them outside of the state. There's all kinds of things that you can tell them that you want them to do. Like if you don't want to sell them within the state, if you want them sold outside the state, or if you only want them traded with other agencies and not sold to private owners, they can do all that. But Lawman's is working something up for me right now, like some kind of contract, and I'll send it out to everybody just so you can see what they're doing. But they said that they would write the check actually to the department instead of writing it to like the city, so the city doesn't put it into their general fund. Yeah.
Did everybody get the letter from CAI? They sent me one. They was offering to buy 80 firearms we wanted to sell. And if we had some for destruction, they would actually destroy them and give us a letter of destruction on them also.
We expect to not have nearly so many guns destroyed. We just take the guns to a metals yard. We do cuts across the receiver and across the frame. Sometimes across the barrel as well, just to measure. We prefer to do the destruction ourselves. I'm not a letter that somebody else is doing it. No, me and the clerk are watching that. I appreciate everybody's patience, and I'm just through this together.
Any note to go with it? How's your job?
By the time he worked for about a year, and then they sold out.
Go, folks. One more.
One more, y'all. I've got Kenneth Woodcock, who's actually Neil's son. He's going to do something on evidence management in a war zone.
We're doing.
All right. Well, you're not supposed to be the guy that speaks right before the end of the day or right at the beginning, because either everybody's ready to go home, or everybody wishes they still were. So here we are. All right. This is going to be a little different than the things we've seen so far today. Hopefully, this will show you what maybe we don't want to do, because we're going to talk about how we secured evidence and some of those kinds of things in Iraq. Because I've been over there a couple of times, and we had some stuff we didn't really want out and about, and what the challenges with that were, and how we solved a couple of those problems. But this will not take very long, unlike most things that have to do with Iraq. This is a very quick story. So, the biggest thing was, who was in charge of all the stuff that was everywhere? Because you had the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, the other government agencies, and you had stuff all over the place. Weapons, ammunition, people. who was really in charge. And if you ask somebody, they would tell you they were in charge. And of their little piece of it, they might have been. But overall, there wasn't any particular person in charge. And then you multiply that by a factor of about 1,000 when you start talking about the allies. And one of the underlying problems was, since nobody was in charge, nobody really gave each other some of the mutual respect you need to handle a large kind of enterprise that we were trying to do. And that meant we didn't have a lot of results. We did have a lot of these guys, though. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Trust me. You'll see. Okay, so it was Tuesday. I was walking down in the compound, and I look over, and this is what I see. This is secured ammunition captured from the enemy. I kid you not. Because the Navy had decided at about 2:30 that day they were going to blow it up. So let's just haul it out so it can dry out nice before we blow it up. Because I guess it works better that way. I'm not an EOD guy because that involves, blowing stuff up. This is Jordanian armed forces. So, whose stuff was it really? We had no idea. We just knew it was going to be bad for us. So how do you secure that? This is how we secure weapons. We put them on the wall, took pictures. Ignore this handsome guy. That's just, when you're supposed to look at it, see AK-47, AK-47, knives, you name it, we secured it because it was cool and it made you look good in the pictures you sent home. I sent that home. My wife decided maybe she did want to marry me out there. So what did you run into? Here we go, budget cuts. You didn't have enough people to do everything you wanted to do. And it wasn't just us, that was everybody. So we had worked out with another coalition partner that they were going to guard the massive ammo dump. It was huge. It had thousands of rounds, thousands of weapons. And then they decided they didn't have enough people, and they rotated the guys who were guarding it home and didn't tell anybody. So this is what we saw a couple of days later. These guys are not taking produce to market. These are automatic rocket launcher rounds that they're carrying. These guys are taking it downtown to sell back to us. We had just captured it. Nobody was guarding it, so they went in, looted it, took it back, sold it to the guys downtown who had no idea that their own weapons cache was unguarded. That we paid for this stuff 4 or 5 times. The way we found out, we were driving down the road to go to something else. We said, hey, wait a minute. Sure that I'm not in charge of this. So we had a problem. This was obviously the ideal solution. Let's just blow it all up. Probably not what we wanted to do. Luckily, there was a solution to this. Criminals, as we all know, are kind of stupid. So a couple of these Jaegers decided, hey, let's go get some stuff, and let's smoke cigarettes while we do it. Not noticing all the black powder that was scattered everywhere from the rounds that were 40 years old, and the guy dropped a cigarette, and it burned for 3.5 days. That solved that particular problem. You cannot always count on people to solve your problem for you. We happen to be fortunate at that time. Although we did have to wear our helmets a lot that week because all kinds of stuff was cooking off. But how to solve this problem? Not that the guy's sleeping. They're not flying the plane. They're just, riding in the back, so it's okay. These guys are on their way home. And they've been there 6, 8, 12 months. And in the process, they've accumulated some things that they wanted to take home and show off to people. Unfortunately, those things are illegally imported in the United States. And so when they land, the customs guys had to grab them. Well, guess who the customs guys were? They were other GIs at the base these guys were from. So A, you got the problem of now we have it in the U.S. and we got to do something with it. And B, you got your own guys telling your own guys, hey, don't do that. So the solution to that was we shipped customs detachments to the war zone and had them check them before they got on the plane. Which was one of those instances where some people understood the results. They had some mutual respect for the process, and it all worked out. Now, hopefully none of y'all will encounter some of these kinds of evidence problems where you are. But that's one of the challenges that we had to overcome. Now, for more on this, there's actually a book written by somebody in there. And it's all about how respect and results are really how you get things done, no matter where you are or what you do. So. And you're still out 10 minutes early.